You are invited to help create heaven on earth while averting danger. Right now, the world is in transition. You see it everywhere. Old powers of greed and destruction using profit as an excuse are coming to an end. People everywhere is waking up. Even nature is restoring the balance. You see it in the weather patterns and extreme imbalances. This transition is happening, and it's out of our control. Heaven machines are divinely created gifts that use the most advanced unified-based technologies to create and generate high-powered frequencies of love, grace, bliss, clear thinking, and many more. Intensely positive energies. At the same time, they're dissolving stress, tension, and negativity. Take part today. Find out how you can help support creating heaven here on earth by visiting heaven-creating.com or email David at heavencreating@gmail.com. You are listening to the Awakened Radio Network. Online radio all the time. Live talk about really important issues. Visit our website at awakenedradio.net, where you will discover who's on when and talking about what. We also have a forum, magazine, live chat room, and many other ways for you to be involved in helping us get the message of self-empowerment to the world. Thank you for listening to the Awakened Radio Network at awakenedradio.net.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lila Rose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello and welcome everyone. Yes, welcome to the place where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. This is your host, Pernilla Lila Rose, and it's wonderful to be here with you again today. You know, as I'm saying this, Evolutionary Women Radio, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world, I am aware that as I've been hosting this show for, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe a little more, it's not really just for women. You know, what I have been sharing, it's not just for women, obviously. Everything I share is for men and women and animals and plants. It's not separate or only geared towards one gender. When I started out, that was a very strong movement in me to really support women in coming into their authenticity, into their power, and that is still a big part of the work that I do. I think it's really, really important that both men and women really honor the feminine principle, the feminine expression of the divine here on earth. I think it's so essential that we all start honoring that and allowing and honoring that evolutionary process of being a human being to take place, to make it happen. We need to get behind ourselves and open up the door for the evolutionary process that is happening. Whether we close the door on it or not, it's all around us. It's all inside of us. And just for the record, it's always been all around us, and it's always been all inside of us. That's never been different. But what I experience as being different now, if I look at the evolutionary process as it just evolves and unfolds, is that we are more conscious of it now than we used to be. We have lived through eons of lifetimes where we were not conscious of this evolutionary process. And I'm sure it was for a good reason. That was not what we were experiencing. We were experiencing, you know, survival, separation, isolation. That was for whatever reason. Don't ask me why. I do not have the answer for that, at least not today, or at least not now. If it comes to me, I'll share it with you. But it has changed. It used to be an unconscious evolutionary process. Now it has become conscious. And that's why we're doing things like we're doing here today. There's all these amazing radio shows and radio hosts and radio stations and TV stations and teleseminar and workshops and retreats. There is so much available to us to help the process, the evolutionary process of becoming more conscious. That is what is happening. And what I have been really putting my life and heart and energy into is helping specifically women, but just as much men. I'm never turning any clients away. But it has been focused more on the women because I just felt that we as women, the feminine, the female gender, we have held ourselves back, and we have lived a life trying to be other than we are, and it has stopped this natural unfolding that wants to happen. So that's how it started out. It seems to be changing where it's not gender specific at all. It's really learning to be present with what is, learning to allow what you resist, and really starting to dip into the silence, the presence, your beingness, which of course is genderless, which of course is beyond evolution. And even though it is genderless and beyond evolution, when we drop deep enough, let's say when we drop deep enough into the ocean, there are no waves, right? It's just water. But as we rise up higher to the surface of the ocean, then we start experiencing waves, and that's where there's form. The water takes form, and it shows up in certain ways of being. And that's where we are still living. We are still living at the surface of the ocean, and maybe some of us are very connected to the depths of the ocean, maybe all the time, maybe at times, but it's learning to have one fin, let's call it a fin, at the bottom or deep down in the ocean, and one fin at the top, so that we can be the portal for the depth to express itself at the surface. And we can say that living in this three-dimensional world, that is living at the surface of form, of shape, of expression, other than just the deep silence, the deep peace that we are at the core. And that's why the waves on the top, some look like men, some look like women, some look like maybe a little bit of both, some look like animals, some look like trees. There's all these forms and shapes. And that's beautiful, and we have to always remember that it's all made of the essence of the ocean, which is water in this case, if you talk about the ocean. But as things are evolving in me, I've just been noticing, it's not a conscious choice I've made, is that I'm not really gearing it towards women like I used to do. I used to invite other evolutionary women in and had them on here as a guest, and they shared their wisdom and experience, and it was lovely. And you may have noticed, if you have been listening regularly, that it's very rare now that I have a guest on. Somehow, that just seemed to fell away. Even though once in a while there is somebody who I feel really resonate. I resonate deeply with what they're doing and speaking and sharing. So I want to bring that in still, but it's not the way it used to be. So I'm just saying that so all the men who are here, who want to be here, to let you know you're so welcome. This is not gender-based at all. This is spirit-based, and we all spirit. So welcome. That was a long little intro. Before, I just want to invite you to connect with me. If you feel moved to, you can always go to the chat room, the live chat room here on awakenedradio.net. And you can say hello if you're moved to do that, if you're not driving or anything like that. If you're tuning in through tunein.com, of course, you're probably on your phone, and you may be driving, and then I certainly don't want you to start texting into the chat room. But you're always welcome to call in if you have any questions or anything you want to share that relates to what we're talking about here. And that number is 334-649-7204. So wherever you're calling from, whatever country, whatever time zone, you're very welcome. Whoever you are, whatever gender you are. This is for all of us. And I have been talking a lot about the whole process of allowing. And the more we learn to allow, you may notice that you experience more peace in your life, more relaxation, because all the energy that you may have spent on resistance, trying to change things out there or inside, is often causing a lot of stress, more tension, more separation, pretty much the opposite of what you want. So the whole art of allowing is a big part of what I've been sharing here, and I certainly hope that it's benefiting you. I hope you're applying it and finding the value that this really gives you. I find it immensely powerful, both with myself and with my clients. I see things just shifting where we learn to move along with life, surfing along with life. I've talked about surfing your own wave, right? Learning to surf your own wave on the ocean, on the surface of the ocean, instead of trying to surf somebody else's wave, which is what we're so used to doing. Most people do that, and we never fully get in touch with our own wave as it just moves along, and then another one goes a little higher and goes a little lower, and you just go with that. Just allow the bumps and the stop signs and whatever. You just allow them, and eventually the water, the pressure of the water inside, which is a good pressure, it's just a movement that will break through these barriers, if there are barriers. But not because we get off our wave, just trying to beat it down or push it away or get rid of it, simply by staying in and on and as our own wave, our own expression, our own movement inside. And then just hang out there, and eventually something will change. It takes vigilance, it takes patience, it certainly takes faith or trust. And I think that is often what is missing for most of us, that we don't fully know how to trust. And today, I usually find a title for the talks here. And today I chose to call it The Peace That Passes All Understanding. It's a quote from the Bible, and it's also sometimes called the peace that surpasses understanding, or all understanding. And this peace, what is this peace that is often mentioned? What is this peace? What does it mean? And how do we get to experience it? Because I know that we all want it. I know we all want to be happy. That's one thing everybody wants. But everybody also wants to feel at peace inside, right? We all long for it. And we all try to get it by going out in the world and doing things so that we can experience peace. You know, peace is something we experience some of when we have enough of everything, when we have enough health, our body is healthy and happy, when we have enough money, right, so we can pay the bills and raise our children and take care of whatever needs to be taken care of, eat good food. It's something like there are the basic needs. When they are met, it gives us a sense of peace, and it's wonderful. I think we all should have that. I don't wish for anybody not to have their basic needs met, so that we can all experience a certain amount of peace, so we can relax, we can enjoy our lives more. And this peace is what so many are looking for. It's almost like a popular commodity. And, you know, when I learned some marketing, I've been learning marketing on and off for a number of years. And when I really think about, well, what is it that I quote unquote sell? What is the end result that people will get from working with me or from reading my books or anything like that? Well, it's peace. It is inner peace. When I wrote my first book called Imagine Being Kind to Yourself, the subtitle is Inner Peace at Last. And this is a number of years ago, maybe 6 years ago or something, that I wrote that book. I can't remember. But there's something about this peace. And I knew that when you learn to be kind to yourself, you will definitely start experiencing more inner peace. Because it is the lack of kindness and the lack of listening to yourself and the lack of loving yourself and accepting yourself that is causing the lack of peace, right? Lack of self-love means lack of peace. Lack of self-acceptance means lack of peace. They kind of go together. So I know that when you learn to be more loving to yourself, there's a very good chance you'll immediately start feeling more peace inside. It's like, oh, I can relax now. I'm not beating up on myself anymore. I'm not separating myself and disowning parts of myself, you know, resisting and trying to get rid of something in myself. It takes a lot of energy and causes a lot of lack of peace, right? So that is one thing, one aspect of peace, and it's kind of a peace that we can experience on the top or on the surface of the ocean, right? When the waves around me are not crashing in, it's not a tsunami of drama. They're just like, they're doing their thing and they're beautiful, and, you know, we may bump into each other as waves, but we're not crashing. So when we bump into each other, we can make a dance out of it. You know, there's a flow up there, and that is natural, that we want that. That is one expression of the peace. And the more we are connected to the deeper parts of the ocean, the more that peace of the ocean will naturally translate into the waves, that they will express themselves as that peace, but as a form called a wave. So as we sink deeper into the ocean, we get to experience a very different kind of peace. And I would suggest today that the peace that I'm going to talk about is the peace that passes all understanding. Is not the peace that you find up on the surface of the waves when they're dancing peacefully with each other. It's peace, yes. But does that peace pass all understanding? Does that peace help you see more clearly give you a deeper understanding of reality, so you're not just focusing on survival and not just focusing on what is important for me. And it's when it says, that passes all understanding, to me it's kind of like something I can't even imagine, because it's not a peace that is of the mind, that is from the mind. It's not from the waves on top. So it's not necessarily something you can imagine. We may long for peace, we may hope for peace, but the peace we're longing for is a peace that we understand, right? We know that if my bills are paid, I feel more at peace. Your mind understands that. And again, I want us all to have it. It's not something anybody should really be without. But this peace is different than that. And any of you who are listening in today, if you have had an experience of this peace that passes all understanding, you know what I'm talking about. And it's different. It has a totally different quality to it. It's so much bigger and more spacious and deep and delicious than anything our mind can think about, can understand, or can imagine. When I started listening to a man called Joe Goldsmith in the 80s, he passed away in the 60s, so I never met him. But I was introduced to his teaching through a very, very strange way that I could never have made that up myself. It came through ways that I'm not going to get into today, but they're definitely something where I realized, these teachings really wanted me, because I was not looking for them and I didn't even know they existed. It came to me in a very bizarre way. So long story short, I started reading and I started meditating according to the way Joel talked about it. And I had a very big shift in my consciousness. Something happened when I started reading his first book called Practicing the Presence. I think it was in 1986. And that's when I sat and meditated the way Joel suggested it. Something shifted in my consciousness. Everything just opened up for me, and there was a shift. And for about 3 months, I walked around as peace, as love, in a way that I could not do myself. I could not get a massage and feel that kind of depth of peace or love. I couldn't. It was not something I could have done myself, and it was something that happened through grace in that particular meditation where I sat down. So I walked around like this for about 3 months, and it was a peace. When it happened, it was a peace that came over me. And it changed me. It changed me forever. It changed everything in me. It changed me forever. Yet I want to say, it did not change all of me all at once. Oh my goodness, I kind of wish it had. I would have avoided a lot of suffering. But so it didn't all happen at once, and it's still a process. I'm not expecting it's going to be all over the seconds. It just has its own evolutionary process. But it did change me forever. Something had shifted in me, and something was connected to the divine in a way that it wasn't before. I could not have done that before. And I was definitely that peace that passes all understanding. That is what kind of descended upon me. And then it, quote unquote, left again after about 3 months, and I would say then all hell broke loose, but I'm not going to get into that today. That was a part of my process to move through that and to learn and see all the areas in myself that were still separate, and I needed to learn to bring that back into the wholeness, back into the oneness, let's say bring all the waves back into the ocean. And as you know, all the things that I've been talking about here is, the allowing, the listening, the loving, the self-love, trusting myself. All these things were things that I had to learn to bridge the duality that created. So after these 3 months, I kind of sunk back into what we can call normal life. And that's when my work began to find my way back into the ocean. Well, I say normal life. I'll find myself right on top of the surface of the ocean with tons of crazy waves. And I really had to find my way down into the ocean again and bringing these waves with me. I couldn't dive into the ocean and just try and get rid of the waves because the waves are made of the ocean. And I had seen that. I knew it was all love, peace. So I couldn't leave anything behind. And that's why I feel so strongly about the allowing piece and the bringing everything home so that we can just move as fluid, buoyant water and not try and spend our energy trying to get rid of any of the waves. So after that experience, there was something that has been pulling me deeper and deeper in. And the last few months, it's been really pulling strongly inside again, even more. Because I meditate every day. I sit in the silence. I love it. I've done it for years, basically since that awakening in whatever it was, 1986, I think. And then sometimes there comes a wave or like say a current from deep down in the ocean and it wants to pull me down. And this is not a scary current. This is a wonderful, wonderful current that has its way of getting my attention and inviting me to go deeper. And again, I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about and you can relate to this and you know how beautiful that is and how that is grace that pulls us in, that wants to bring us down into itself, into the ocean, so that we are not at the surface struggling, trying to make things work, trying to find peace, trying to find fulfillment, right? There's this wonderful current that just wants to pull us down, inviting us deep in. And that is this peace that knows, that passes all understanding. Because this peace is so much more than our little mind can ever imagine or understand, right? That's why it says it passes all understanding. And to me, that means the understanding of the mind. This is not the peace of the mind, but it will give peace to the mind. But the mind cannot make that happen. So we're going to talk a little more about that. We are just about ready to go on a break. And before we do, I want to just invite you to, if you want to explore this more, you're always welcome to go to my website, which is lillarose.com, LILLAROSE.com. And you can read a lot of the things, you can read a lot there about what I'm doing, how I can support you. And if there's anything in there that really resonates with you, with the kind of support that you might be looking for, if you are longing for the peace that passes understanding and don't know how to get it, but yet you feel the pull, right? You might still be holding on to the waves. Then please go there and connect with me and let me help you with that. That's what I love to do. So you can find all that there, and we will talk more about the peace that passes understanding in just a moment after the break. Thank you so much. See you in a moment.
I'm Donna Devane, station owner here at the Awakened Radio Network, and I'd like to ask you for your help. Would you consider helping Awakened Radio Network move into 2014 in a brand new, bigger, more exciting way. Live streaming TV in addition to our live streaming radio. If you would love to give something back to the station that gives you the tools for self-empowerment so that you can do your own healing and your own work, well, then head on over to www.gofundme.com Awakened Radio. That's gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. Your donations can help us move into 2014 bigger, better than we've done for the past 2 years. Please help us out. Consider making a donation. And after donating, please use your social networks, Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all of them to share gofundme.com/Awakened Radio. We've done this much together. Just think what we can do if each one of us will invite 10 people to come and support the Awakened Radio Network. Thank you so much. I'm Donna Devane, the Barefoot Guru, and as always, I love you, and I remind you, love yourself well. Peace.
Hello and welcome to Evolutionary Women Radio Show with Pernilla Lillerose, where authentic feminine power is making a difference in the world. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Evolutionary Women Radio Show, and let's just call it Evolutionary Women and Men Radio Show. That sounds more true to what's happening here now. So we're talking about the peace that passes all understanding. And I have been living with the question, what is this peace? What is this peace that surpasses all understanding? I'm living with as a living prayer, like, show me, what is it? And it's almost like it's a asking of, take me deep into the ocean so I can experience it. So I don't just have to sit up there at the surface of the ocean as a wave, looking down, realizing that, oh, there are no waves down there. It looks so peaceful and so yummy. And so I'm asking the ocean, take me down there so I can experience the peace that all the beings who live down there talk about, what the longing that I know in my heart feels in there, that it's, let me have that experience for real. And also all the times that I have been in there, I've been in and out, as I'm sure we all have. We dip in and then we come out. So we know that already. I know inside what that peace is. It's not a foreign thing. But there is this deep longing to rest and become that more and more in this expression, so that the wave that I am, that I still am, and that I will be until I move on from this existence, so that wave can be a full expression of that peace, the full fulfillment of this peace in the life of the form of this wave called Pernilla. I bet you there is a lot of us here who really long for that. And let's not try and get rid of that and say, oh, you can't have that kind of peace. Look at the world, or la, 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 la. Yes, that's all true. That's happening. But the longing in your heart, if there is a longing for deeper peace, please listen to this longing. Please open up the door to this longing of peace, so this peace can start entering in your life. It's like letting the depth of the peace of the ocean move consciously into the wave that you are. That's what we want. And the more we drop into that peace, or drop into it's kind of making ourselves available for this peace to take us down, right? A wave on the top of the surface of the ocean cannot dive down, right? It can't, but we can allow a deeper current to pull us down. And when we're getting pulled down, the shape of the wave, of course, disappears, but the water that the wave is made of, is being pulled down from that current into the depths of the ocean, where the peace that passes all understanding is just naturally there. But we need to make ourselves available for the current of the depth of the peace to take us down. And we need to learn or open up to being taken. And for most of us, it's not easy. I know for myself that when I had that experience back in the 80s, that I couldn't, quote unquote, hold that, right? I couldn't stay down. I couldn't stay in that peace. I went up to the surface again because there were all these waves that were frozen that I talked about last week that needed to be defrosted so that all of the expression called pranila could gracefully and willingly come down into the depth of the peace of the ocean. So my consciousness rose up to the top again, and that's why, bang, I was in the middle of all this turmoil up on the top. And I needed to find out how to help these frozen waves and these waves that seemed out of control, how to help them so they could let themselves be taken down to what I had just experienced. See, I hope that makes sense. It's a beautiful metaphor of, our consciousness does rise back up to the ocean, and it is not a mistake. This is because we are here to facilitate that all the water that we are can start dropping down and experience the peace that we also are. So up there, in my battling with the ocean, with the waves, I learned what you have heard me talk about is the all formula. I learned to allow the waves to be exactly the way they were, so that my attention was not focused and embedded in the trying to change these waves, right? Trying to have a different shape, trying to fight off the wildness of them. I learned, and it took me many years till I figured out how to do that. I learned a little bit here and a little bit there, and I kind of put it all together, at least so it worked for me. I hope it works for you too, but you may still have to find your own ingredients to help your waves relax so they can be taken down by the deeper current of love, of peace, of God. You can call it whatever you want. So learning to bring some kind of relief to the surface of the ocean, that is where, if there's any work for us to do, that's kind of where we need to find out what specifically does this wave in my life need so it can start to relax. And that is kind of saying, like, what does it take for you to help your mind relax, to be receptive to the peace that is right there? It's deeper down in your psyche. It's here. It's not something that's separate from you. But what does it take for you, for your mind, for your wild thoughts, for your out of control emotions, for your frozen waves, trauma, drama, all the things that we all battle with at the surface of the ocean? What does it take specifically for you to help them relax? And here's a very important piece that I've seen that can also be misunderstood. Because one thing is, when we learn to love ourselves, when you learn to be kind to yourself, to love the waves, whether they're frozen or bent into a pretzel, totally out of shape, whatever they are, when you learn to be kind to them and allow them to be exactly the way they are, that in itself is a very powerful step to help them settle down. And then what happens, of course, is that the energy, now you have created more calm up there because you're not trying to get rid of, battle, resist, reject, judge, hate, whatever, criticize yourself as ocean or as waves on the ocean. So now you have more energy available that you can start looking down into the ocean, and maybe as a prayer or as a meditation, you can say, and I'm using the ocean metaphor, you can use whatever works for you. But in this case, you could say to the ocean, to the deeper part of the ocean, is like, show me, what is this peace that I know is down there? I can sense it. People talk about it. What is it? Show me. Now, instead of trying to battle the waves on the surface of the ocean, now you are using that liberated energy for prayer or for receptivity of the deep current of peace that's coming right from the depths of your own psyche. Now you're making yourself available for that. And that's really all you can do. So when we use statements or quotes, or what I use in Hakomi, the work that I do, Hakomi is the body-centered therapy that I use to help people get into the depth of their experience, and of course to help them not resist it, but learn to allow and listen to it. So when you learn that, so we use something called a probe, and a probe is a sentence that I use based on what I know is going on with my client. So if I notice that there is there is a belief going on that, let's say, they may believe that nobody loves them, which I think we all have somewhere, then based on that, then I might say, then there will usually a sentence that comes to me that will kind of neutralize that almost. So I might say, for instance, something like, you are lovable, or I care about you. And that will startle that belief because it's totally opposite of what the consciousness is embedded in, right? So by hearing what I would call a truth as opposed to a lie, or maybe a better truth, a higher truth than the lie, then this frozen wave that thinks it's unlovable, we can work with that. It might ruffle up a little bit and say, no, I'm not lovable, blah, blah, blah. So we work with that until there is an understanding in the body, a felt sense of actually being loved, even if it's just for a moment. That's at least how it starts for most of us. But that moment where there's like, oh, you see, then that wave can relax a little bit. And the more we do that, then more and more energy is made available that we can start focusing on the depth of the ocean. And that is something we all need to find out what it is specifically for you and for me. And whether it's a quote from the Bible, or whether it is a quote from some spiritual text that you may enjoy reading, or from some teacher or some teachings, something that gives you a sense of, oh, I see, now I get it. And then there is a part of you that can relax for a moment. And that's, if you can feel that part of you that can relax in that moment, then I want to invite you to focus on that felt sense in your body that relaxes. I don't know if it fully makes sense, when I talk about it on the radio show, it's different than when I'm working with somebody privately, where I can really help guide you there, so you can have that experience of that part that suddenly can relax. And then you then you bring your consciousness there. You see, it's like the wave that was on top of the ocean that was all wild. Now it settles down. And so now you don't have to fight it or be swirling around in this wave. It settles down, it falls down, and it's to the surface of the ocean. And then your view is clearer. Suddenly, because there's not all this turmoil on top, you can actually look down into the ocean and go, oh, wow, look what's down there. I hadn't even noticed that because I had been so busy battling these waves. But now, because this one ocean that kept thinking it wasn't lovable, now it feels like, oh, wow, somebody cares about me, and it can settle down. And then you can look down. It's like the ocean becomes this beautiful space where you can look down into, because it's clear, right? It's like a lake that's clear. You can look down to the bottom. The same with an ocean. When there's no crazy waves at the top, you can look deep down. And now you can focus on the depth, the peace that is right there and always was. And then you just ask the question, show me, what is this peace? It can be, it's probably a different sentence for most of us. And I have shared with you before that for me, it has been some of the Bible quotes, because Joe Goldsmith, he was so set in the truth and the aliveness of the Bible. And I never read the Bible really when I was a child, so I don't have that as my own natural background. Has not been my path. But because of Joe Goldsmith, there was something that was touched so deeply. And by reading his books, it feels like I got the spirit of the words. It became alive in me, because the way he shared it and the depth that he brought to it, the energy of the depth of the peace of the ocean that he brought to it, was kind of like a transmission for me. So it allowed me to go down into that depth too and find out what it really means, what these words mean. And one of them was, Spirit goes before me and performs that which is given me to do. That has always been a very powerful one for me, because I have shared this with you before. I've always been such a doer, I always had to do it myself, and I have to do it. And I can still find that in me, but it has certainly settled down like 90 or 95%. But I can still feel the benefit from telling, whatever is left on the surface of the water, of the surface of the ocean, whatever wave is left that still thinks that she needs to do it all on her own. When I tell that wave, like, no, sweetheart, Spirit goes before you and performs that which is given you to do, then that wave relaxes. And then I say, okay, Spirit, show me what that means. What does that look like when you go before me and perform that which is given me to do, instead of me having to run ahead and make it all happen? What does that look like? Because see, now that wave that thinks she needs to do it all on her own, now that has settled, right? Because she heard something that was different, and that that rings truth in that wave. So now I can put that question. That's kind of a prayer or a meditation, a contemplation. You contemplate these questions. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean that Spirit performs that which is given me to do? And then I allow the depth of the ocean, I allow that current to take me down into the silence, into the peace. And then I just wait. And the reason that I can wait down there right now is because the wave on top is not pulling me out anymore. Because I told this wave, sweetheart, it's okay. Spirit performs that which is given me to do. And it goes, oh, how wonderful. And I've told myself that probably 1,000,000 times, and every time it relaxes a little deeper. It did not go away with one sitting, and some things do go away in one sitting. This one didn't. Other things have just disappeared. As soon as I saw the truth, it was gone forever. But there are certain ones in us that keep coming back because they have not experienced the truth yet of the depth of the peace that passes all understanding. So here I am, right? I'm deep down in the ocean, and I'm just waiting, and I'm just allowing the ocean itself, which is Spirit. It's the same. So I say, Spirit, show me. What does it mean that you perform that which is given me to do? Because I don't know that. I only know about doing it myself. So show me, right? And then I just sit there and wait, and I just enjoy the peace. I'm not going up to the surface anymore because I'm choosing now. I can't choose now because I have put that little wave to sleep up on top. So now I can choose to stay. And if that wave calls me back up, I just remind her and say, no, sweetheart, Spirit performs that which is given us to do. And then this wave relaxes again. And then I can keep staying in that beautiful peace that passes all understanding. And I just hang out there. I just enjoy the peace. And I wait. I wait with the question, show me. What does that mean? What does that mean in my own experience? So it's not just a concept. I want to know what it feels like, what the experience is of that, and how that shows up, how that translates into my life. So please show me. And if you're following me right now, you can just do that with whatever it is that feels like it's still troubling you, where your waves are pulling you out. You need to start looking at, well, what do some of these waves, we have a lot of waves up there. So we find the ones that are most turmoil, that need more support than others. And that's when first you allow them, and then you can listen to them, right? When you don't resist them, then you can choose to use that energy of resistance to listen, right? You allow, and then you listen. And then you'll feel into the wave, and then you'll start knowing what it needs. And then you tell it that. That could be, I love you, or it could be, it was never your fault, and I'm sorry nobody told you that. These are certain things that I can say, excuse me, if we work together, then I'll find what it is to help you unhook from the wave, so you can make yourself available to the deeper truth that you are. And this deeper truth really wants you to know what is true. That's the evolutionary process we're feeling here. There is a depth that wants to pull us down and give us everything that we long for And it's not something it needs to take from somewhere else. It's already right in there, in the ocean, in the depths of your being. But you and I need to make ourselves available to be taken there. So just start thinking about, what is it that you need to know, or to say, or to hear, or to remember, to help your mind relax. And when your mind relaxes, there's an energy that's made available for you that you can now put into being receptive to this peace that passes all understanding. So once you start resting in and as this peace, then you'll start knowing things that you couldn't even think about before, because it's a peace that passes all understanding. So you see, you're beyond the mind that knows things and understands things. This is a peace, and this peace will start informing you, will start showing you. You'll certainly start seeing things, how it all makes sense, or how all things fit together, or you start seeing the bigger picture, or you just have a deep knowing. And this is coming from the peace that passes understanding, and it comes because you make yourself available for that. You let yourself drop down into this peace. And because your energy is not focused on trying to battle the waves, you can use that energy just to be receptive and enjoy the peace, because all you need to focus on when you're here is feel the peace and the depth of the ocean or your spirit. You just put your attention right there. That's all. And it will be revealed to you. It simply will. Maybe not in the first sitting, but as you keep doing this, you will realize you are the ocean, and you are everything, and the ocean moves in the right direction to fulfill itself. So I'm just looking at the clock. Time is going really fast when we're hanging out in this wonderful depth of the ocean, where the peace that passes all understanding is simply given to us. That's why Spirit performs that which is given us to do. But we need to sit in Spirit. We need to make ourselves available for it. So my friends, what a wonderful time to spend here with you. I just love to talk about this subject. It just fills my heart and my soul and my spirit. And I hope it does for you too. Feel free to go to my website, which is lillarose.com, spelled LILLAROSE.com. And if you feel moved to explore this further with me, you're always welcome to sign up for what I call a discovery session. And it's a 30-minute free discovery session that I offer. You can find it on the front page, on the welcome page of my website at lillarose.com. And you just fill in, put in your name and fill out the form. And then you can set up a time with me for 30 minutes. And then we can explore this together and see if you do need any support to come down deep into the ocean and be fed by your own beingness. My friends, thank you so much for being here today with me, with all of you. It's wonderful. I wish you a beautiful week, and I look forward to being here again with you next week. Much love to you all.
For all eyes open, showing our inside and light so bright. We are awakened. Come and join our love. It's so right. If you